about 2006, 7-ish or so, that climate change was really impacting the cultures, the economies, the communities, people, the environment around the Lake Superior region. The land management agencies were finding a lot of difficulty with land management issues and public safety, even with lowering lake levels and other things that were happening in the forests and the environments around here. Glyphwood was very concerned that of climate impacts on ceded territory treaty rights, hunt, fish, and gather, and species that are needed for those rights are beginning to be threatened by climate change. Big problem. And as an educator, I was seeing that our usual way of educating about climate change just wasn't resonating with people. Things just weren't working. So we kind of came together as a team, and again, there were forces that were beyond us, I think, that drew us together to work together and be partners in this new model. We did some research, I did some research, and we found, in fact, the document is back on the back table there. I have a number of reference documents you're welcome to look at. It's from the Psychology of Climate Change from Columbia University that basically says place-based evidence of climate change is as effective or even more effective than simply using scientific evidence. No offense, Dr. Dan. But the place-based integrated with science really resonates with people. And that's a great little cartoon there. This guy's got his head on the stand. He says, bury my head in the sand where climate change is much easier now that half the world's turned to desert. Oh. So kind of sums it up right there. All right, so the way we developed the model is that the Lake Superior GWOW have relied on the sustainability of key plant and animal species for generations. When we talk about place-based, us Anglos only have so much place-based, right? We're talking about much longer-term place-based when we're working with tribal cultures and traditional ecological knowledge. So they have a much longer-term place-based perspective of the sustainability of these key species that support these cultural practices for subsistence, for spiritual practice, what we call lifeways. Tribes have this traditional ecological knowledge, which you'll see abbreviated as TEK or sometimes TK, a natural system that provides place-based evidence of climate change. And as Elder Jim St. Arnold always reminds us, it is for people of all cultures, not just Ojibwa people, not just one culture, but for all people. So we're using this as our indicator of place-based. So here's our goal: increasing awareness of climate change impacts on the sustainability of resources, cultures, and communities by integrating place-based evidence of climate change with climate science. Okay? Creating an easy-to-understand model, but then taking action, using that model and doing something, just as Sue and Mike challenged us this morning, taking that knowledge and actually doing something with it, making a difference. Even if we're in that small crack on the sidewalk, and for a little difference, we're doing something. We're moving it forward through service learning. Here's our key principles. Now remember we did this back in 2006-ish? It was about 2006, wasn't it? 2007-ish? Long time ago. Okay, first of all, climate change is real. Now you think back, this was kind of cutting edge stuff then. Humans contribute to climate change. This is a little dicey for those times, especially I would say with some of the federal agencies maybe. Weather and climate are different, we'll talk about that. Climate affects culture, and we can make a difference. So here is Jim St. Arnold, one of our mentors, harvesting birch bark, a boreal species that requires cool climate conditions. Birch harvesting, very important cultural practice. What is the future of birch harvesting if I can kind of get a jump on Dr. Dan with one of his wonderful wiki maps? If the projected change in Wisconsin's average annual temperatures, especially in the ceded territory here, are going to be maybe increasing 7.5 to 8 degrees. What does that mean for the sustainability of birch trees that requires cool climates? What does it mean for the sustainability of the cultural practice of birch harvesting? What does it mean for your culture, for things that you do? Maybe you're a trout fisherman. What about the trout streams? Will it have an impact on cool water fish species, maybe that you rely on? What about businesses that rely on it? So we want to get people to use this model to think out of the box, to have climate change resonate with them in a different way. So this is what makes the model really unique, and this is the key thing. And we'll have this all on the website, so if you don't remember all of it, it's really based on understanding climate change and its impact on the sustainability of a key species. There are other great climate models. One is called Cycles out of the University of Minnesota, where they have indigenous TEK, and they have climate change impacts, and they have science, but there's no connection between the two. This model is unique because it connects the two based on the sustainability of plant and animal species or habitat conditions that support those species. Just as I gave you the example of the boreal species of birch and climate change. So it makes it culturally relevant, it links the two together, it makes the model transferable to other cultures, and I'll demonstrate how in just a second. And then we've also added the component to the GWOW model of service learning. And we use the impacts on Ojibwa cultures, again, as an indicator for all cultures. All right, here's an example. Let's take wild ricing. And we're going to be going on the Vanderbilt Cottage Sluice tomorrow, which is just an awesome experience for those of you who've never been there. We're so blessed that we can do this. Wild ricing, obviously, is a very important cultural lifeway for the Lake Superior Ojibwa and many of our tribes in the area. Wild rice harvesting depends on the sustainability of wild rice, manoomin, right? That's kind of a brainer. Manoomin is an important species for subsistence, spiritual, and ceremonial purposes. Here we go. The sustainability of manoomin depends on habitats with shallow water, moderate water levels, fluctuations, and cool growing season conditions. Okay? So we know what our species needs for sustainability. Is there place-based evidence that might suggest that climate change is affecting the sustainability of manoomin? What do our tribal people, what do we see, what do we actually have noticed that we can touch, feel? Yes. Between 2007 and 2012, significant disruptions, actually cancellations of wild rice harvesting. Place-based evidence that something is happening here. Okay, what about science? Is there anything that science projects might be happening in future environmental variables that could affect those habitats that manoomin needs? Remember what they were? Shallow water, right? Not a lot of water level fluctuations that could drown it or wash it away. Cool conditions, okay? Right? Okay, what do we see? We're going to see more heat, and again, look at that ceded territory, but you can also look where you guys live too. Kind of look. We're going to see more heat, and these are projections to mid-century. This is based on the climate model, and Dan is going to talk a lot more and has a lot more experience than I do. That we're kind of middle of the road. We don't get our act together in terms of carbon emissions. We don't go any higher than what we are. Just where we are right now. What's going to be happening? More heat, more drought, and more gusher rainfall events of 2 inches or more, especially north in our ceded territories. What does that mean for the sustainability of manoomin? You see how people can start thinking differently about this by integrating place-based in science? That's what this model uses. Okay, culture and science agree. Okay? Okay, here's a culture practice. We'll just do a couple quizzes. All right, here's one. What is this one? Who said maple syrup that they like before? Okay, maple harvesting, what's the key species?
Maple.
What does it require? Cool, moist growing conditions. Scientific and place-based evidence. Place-based, how many people harvest maple? What have you noticed the last couple years?
Short and quick.
Short and quick? All over the place? And not so good? Yeah, okay. All right, we'll look at that drought map again. We know that maple trees need cooler conditions. We don't need a lot of, we need the freezing and thawing in the spring and that what is going to happen if, just for example, we look at days over 90 degrees. How is that going to affect maple trees? So how is this going to affect for the sustainability of maple sugar? Sugar maple rather. What about businesses that rely on maple syruping or cultural practices? We take another one. Those of you who are trout fishermen or fishers, key species? Trout. What do they need? Cold habitat. Place-based evidence. We have streams drying up in central Wisconsin. Anybody else notice any place-based evidence of trout issues? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pardon?
Lice.
Less?
Gill lice.
Gill lice.